Do you ever get bored of people telling you that your camera's the wrong sort of camera for the photography you're doing? You do? Well, join me and I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy with you once again on a rather rainy day here in Cumbria in the UK. It doesn't know what it wants to be. I'm off in the caravan tomorrow for 10 days. We're off down to Wales, so hopefully get some photography done then. One of the places we want to go is a place called Portmeirion, and it's somewhere I've never been to. It's where they filmed in the 60s the series of Patrick McGowan called The Prisoner. And it's a fascinating place. I'm really wanting to see what that's like. So that should be hopefully a good photo opportunity down there. However, back to today's thing. I had a conversation with somebody midweek, and it started me thinking. It started me thinking rather a lot. And basically the conversation was based on an article which had been read on one of the rumour sites. And we had the conversation, and basically it was a case of, you're using the wrong sort of camera. Really? I have an Olympus, now OM system, EM1 Mark II, which I love. I've also got a Lumix G100, which I love. And I've been told how Olympus or OM system cameras are now wildlife cameras. You can't use them for anything else. They are wildlife and sports cameras. Forget about anything else. That's what they're there for. Okay, and Lumix are video cameras. Even if it's the top of the stills line, or the former top of the stills line, it's still a video camera. It's a hybrid camera. That's what you're going to use it for. And my little G100 here, well, that's a vlogging camera, but it's not very good at vlogging according to most of the pundits. But it's a vlogging camera because it's small. What a load of rubbish! What an absolute load of rubbish! And it's made me think. I've got a couple of friends who've got OM system OM1s. Who love them. They're being pushed as a wildlife and sports camera. But does that mean that you can't take portraits on them? Does that mean that you can't go out and take wildlife and nature shots? Does that mean you can't do architecture? Does that mean that you can't do macro? Does it mean any of these things? Surely the camera is a camera. There'll be some features which are possibly directed towards having an advantage for a certain type of photography. But it doesn't mean to say you can't take photographs of other genres on that camera, because the marketeers in that company are saying that that camera's for a certain thing. I do understand about, phase detector autofocus, and I understand why that's been so important for videographers and things like that. And when you've got long lenses and you're trying to get something in focus at a distance, and all those sort of things. But you can still stick a long lens into my little G100. I could put the 150 to 600mm OM system lens onto this camera. Yes, it wouldn't have the image stabilization that it does on the OM1. Yeah, it wouldn't have all the other bits, whistles and bells. But I'd still have a 600mm lens on the front of this camera. You'd lose the camera, I think, though, because of the size difference. But you get my drift. And I bet that I could take some wildlife photos. Birds or squirrels or something like that with that 150 to 600mm lens on this G100 camera. It doesn't preclude me from taking those photographs. Maybe it makes it harder because I don't have some of the facilities. I could use an OM1 as a vlogging camera. It's a perfectly capable camera for vlogging. I could stick a nice wide angle lens on it, something like the 9mm Lumix lens. That's beautiful, that lens. I really need to get my hands on one of those 9mm Lumix lenses, the primes. But I could stick one of those in the front of an OM1, and I could use it as a really good vlogging camera. Fantastic IBIS, really good video capabilities. So why is it only sports and nature? Similarly, my G9 Mark I, fabulous. Although it doesn't have phase detect, it has depth from defocus, focusing and things like that. Yeah, really, excuse me, cleared the throat. It's a bit bigger than my G100, considerably bigger and heavier than my G100, but it would work perfectly well as a vlogging camera. The video facilities are fabulous, but I use that as a portrait camera. I do that for my pop-up studio work. I use that to take some fantastic portraits of people, and with having the battery grip on, it gives me lots of battery life for that. It's got really, really good focusing systems for being able to do the studio portrait work. But it's a video camera. Doesn't have to be. And this is my whole point. I'm becoming rather tired. Every time I look on any of the rumour sites, there's a rumour about this camera. It can only be used for this. Or at least you're pushed into that belief that it can only be used for that, for this and the other. It's becoming too segmented for me. The Micro Four Thirds format is an incredibly powerful little format of camera. It can do all sorts. So why do we see that we have to limit it? You can't take portraits on a Micro Four Thirds camera because you can't get the shallow depth of field from a Micro Four Thirds camera. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's only good for doing wildlife and nature because of that wide depth of field that you need for that. It'll do other things, honestly. Not lying to you. What do you think? I mean, I'm getting this frustration bit because I'm looking at the market, and I was reading an article just today about somebody, I think it was on 43rumors.com. Big shout out to 43rumors.com because they do keep the rumours going. Some good, some bad. But there was one person who was saying he probably bought his last Olympus camera. And it's not that he's leaving Olympus, but that he feels Olympus has left him. Well, why? Why has Olympus left anybody? You look at the OM1 Mark II. It's a phenomenal camera. It's a fabulous camera. It'll do almost everything you wanted to do. Why have they left him? Now, maybe they're not doing the small cameras. I can understand that. If they're not doing the small format cameras, which I think is what he was getting at, then I can see that. Yes, they've left that part of the market, and that's why they've left him. I feel the same way about Lumix at the moment with the G9, sorry, the G8, the GX9 and GX8. And there's rumours that there's something small and neat coming out. So if that's true, then that's great. But if they don't have a camera in that sort of line, then yes, I can understand. I would think that they've left me rather than me leaving them. But it doesn't stop me shooting on those. It doesn't stop me having a camera for a few years longer. I will quite happily have my G9 Mark I for a considerable amount of time yet. I don't need to change it. I do not push that camera to its limits. My AM1 Mark II, been out for a donkey's years now. What was it, about 8 years? 8 or 9 years it's been out. Fabulous camera. I don't take it to its limits. I will keep that camera for a considerable time. There are advantages to having an AM1 Mark III or an AM1X or an OM1 or an OM1 Mark II. There's advantages to having the G9 Mark II. But I've got to work out if those advantages are worth the investment. And overall, a lot of the time I'm thinking not. You know, I look at my son like my GX8. The GX8 will be coming on holiday with me. That's the camera they said I'm taking away with me. Not because it's the best camera, not because it's got the most features. It's just because I like using it. And I like the results it puts out. And I have fun using it. I have enjoyment using it. Why don't you use that in the studio? Well, I could use it in the studio, but the G9 is a better camera for that. And since I own both, I'll use the best one I have for that. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think the camera market is just creating problems for itself? Or is it just a hyper marketing sort of tool? You know, as I say, the OM1 is not just a sport or nature camera. It's whatever you want it to be. The G9 Mark II is not just a really good video hybrid camera. It's a fantastic camera across the board. If you want to shoot videos, the OM1 and the OM1 Mark II will shoot great videos too. It doesn't have to be a Lumix to do that. And the good thing is, by choosing the right lens, by choosing the right optics, you're going to have the results that you want to. But more importantly than that, it comes back to what I've said lots of times, that it's the mug standing behind the camera who chooses what the camera sees and records. And it's the skill of the mug behind the camera which will manipulate that image to maximise its impact and maximise its quality. So let me know in the comments below. These people, by the way, are my wonderful Patreon patrons. If you would like to become a Patreon patron, there's a link below. And if you don't want to do a longer term one, just want to give a one-off, there's a link, a PayPal link for a cup of coffee. Our super thanks below if you would rather do super thanks. That's more than welcome. And don't forget, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe to this, because it really does help this channel get spread further and further afield. More and more people can see it. And it keeps YouTube happy. And if YouTube's happy, I'm happy. Anyway, till the next time, this is Brian James, a Micro Four Thirds guy, speaking to you from Cumbria. Next time I speak will be from Welsh, Wales. I'll see you soon. Keep on taking your camera out, keep on having fun with your photography. Bye-bye.